Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Today's use case is how to clone a parent object along with its child objects without writing any code and triggering it from the record page to create those new set of records along with parent and children. And the question was asked by someone in my other video, where the question was to clone the case with its case comments, which is another object child of case. And this can apply for any objects, like if you want to have a button on account page to clone accounts with contacts for whatever reason. So same concept can be applied. So obviously we're going to use flow for this, and let's get started. So new flow, and the type of flow that you'll use here is going to be the screen type of flow, just because the auto launch flow cannot be triggered from the page. So the screen flow is kind of only our option right here. So create, and what do we need? So the main elements that we'll be using today is obviously create records, because we are creating records. We need to get records to query the records case and case comments so that we can create those cloned records. And the most importantly, loop. So loop is going to play a very important role when you're trying to query among the children, within the children, to create those children records. And I'm also going to go over what not to do when you're using a loop, especially for beginners who haven't used loop before. You can run into some cases where I'm going to tell what the best practices are going to be to use loop. Okay, so let's just get the get records first, and we're going to say get case record actually. Add your description here, and first of all we need to query case. So we're get records of this object case where conditions are met, and the conditions is going to be as equals. If you are on a page of a record, you can directly create a variable called record ID, and whenever you use the button lightning action, it will automatically take, so record ID will automatically contain the ID of that page you're on, and from where you're triggering the lightning action basically. So all you need to do is just create the record ID variable and available for input. Hit done, and we have record ID now. And what do you want to store? So maybe when you clone the case, you might want the case origin to be copied, maybe the status, and description. Could be anything. It depends on your use case. So I'm just going to keep it to these three fields. And hit done. And this one, as you can see, manually assign variables advanced. So before Winter 20, this was not an option. So whenever you actually query something, if you want to use it later down the line, you would have to store it in a variable, and the flow wouldn't automatically assign it. But from Winter 20, now it's if you want to assign it to a variable, you can, but you don't have to. And I haven't tried it before, so we're going to try that in this video. So description. So I'm just not going to assign this case to any variable, and I'm going to try to refer to this by using this flow element name called get case record. Hit done, and we got the case records. And now next thing we also need is the case comments, because we also want to create the case comments along with the case records. And going to be case comments. That's a standard object. Case comment, and the criteria are met. So the criteria for this one would be the case parent ID should be equal to the record ID that we created, basically the case. So because we are querying all the children, so any case comment that has the same case needs to be queried. And this one will be all records, because we are expecting more than one in case there is one case comment, but they could be multiple because it's a children record. And then let's just query a few fields from there. Comment body, and add another field called, I don't think there is a lot of fields in my org, but this is a parent ID because that's the case ID. Okay, so I'm not gonna assign to variable. Before window 20 I would have to, but I'm just gonna try this out. Hit done, and that's our case comments. Okay, so now that we have case and case comments, case creation is straightforward. So I can just have a create records and say create case, and here, so how many records do you want to create? So case is just one, so I'm just going to say one. And do you want to use all values from record variable or use separate variables? So I want to use separate variables. So the difference between these two is, like, if you want to create a case exactly this, and you don't have a lot of control over, so basically you already have a record variable and you just put that case here, which is fine. But I want to show you the separate variables, resources, and literal values. So I'm just going to say case here, and here you can actually set the fields that you want. So I think I had case description, case reason, and I want to see if that, so now actually you can say case from get case record. We know that that's a case type object variable, and here we can say reason. So this is really great, and because now you don't have to spend time trying to create a record variable. So I'm definitely going to use that a lot. Description, and I'm just going to start typing description. Didn't come up, okay. So I guess, so get case record dot description, and let's add one more, status, and go to the get case record dot status. There you go. And always this value, whatever you're assigning here, it should be queried in your initial get records. Otherwise, you'll get error, field not specified or something like that. So you can store case ID in a variable. The reason you do that is, let's say if you want to redirect the user to the newly created case, then you need that record ID to be stored. And there's another video if you are interested to see how to do that. Definitely check that video out. It's very straightforward, but usually what I've seen, clients want the case to be directed to the newly created case. Obviously, you don't want to stay on the same page, and once you clone, you want to redirect the user. But out of the box, that's not possible, so you'd have to create a component or something. So definitely store that new case ID and hit done. So that completes the case creation. Now for the case comments, you'd actually have to use a flow, you actually have to use a loop to loop through the case comments. So the reason we are doing this is because we need to make sure the newly created case comment needs to be tied up to that newly created case, not the old case. If we just directly use create records and create that loop variable, it's gonna not work, because it's gonna create the case for the same exact, it's gonna create the case comment for the same exact case. So you want to, and that's another reason why we need that new case ID. So collection variable, and this is the collection variable, case comments from get case, and first to last is fine, and loop variable. So here we can create a new variable of record type record, and say var loop case comments, and this should be of type, it should be of the same type of the collection that you're looping in. We don't need it outside of the flow, so let's keep that unchecked. So get case comments, that's our case comment variable, which is why the loop variable should be exactly the same. And if you are familiar with Apex, this will be pretty easy to understand. So we have a collection variable, and it's like a for loop, list of case comments, and then case comment CA equals new case comment. Basically, that's what we're doing here. Done. So loop through case comments. So basically, we're getting the case comments, looping through them, and now inside the loop, we need to assign it. So go to assignment. Now search for the variable. And you can create a new variable here. So basically, it's like creating new case comment equal CA equal the new case comment, and then going through that loop and assigning that. So what I mean by that is var case comment new, and it's going to be record type, obviously case comment, really slow, case comment, and we can leave that as it is. Done. So new case comment, and that's not what we want though. We want case comment dot comment body equals the loop variable that we just created, which is loop comment dot comment body. And I hope that makes sense. And then you also need obviously the parent ID, because they need to tie up to the same parent. So let's new case comment dot parent ID equals, we're just going to use the loop variable again, dot parent ID. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know if this is confusing. So dot parent ID, and that should complete the assignment for now, for this process. And then once you have all the object into a container, into like case comment, what we want to do is add all the case comments to a single collection variable so we can directly insert that. So for that, we need another assignment here, and assign case comment to a collection, basically. And now we need to create a new collection variable again, because that's what we are going to create. So var new case comment collection. It will be a record type, but it's going to allow multiple values. So check that box, and case comment. And this can be available for output or not, that doesn't matter. And we're just gonna say add. So in my case, I'm just gonna add at start, actually just add case comment collection. So we are adding, so variable operator value. So we need to add the new case that we created, which is var case comment new. That's the new case that was created, and we don't need that because, and then we're gonna add so this is the variable that we just created, add, and we're going to add that value, that new case comment where we're collecting all the values, new case comment. not the collection, but the single variable, because that's what basically this list collection is collecting all the case comments to this one, and we don't need the dot there. So that's it, and hit done. And actually, if I go back to that assignment, there was one mistake that I made. So the case.parent ID should be equal to not this one, because this one has old case ID. So what we need here is the new case ID that we created, and that's called var new case ID right here. Okay, we're done. So, and now let's just connect the dots here. Get records, create case. We can create that here, and then get case comments. And this order does not matter. You can just query both them together. That doesn't matter. But this order matters. So loop and assign, and for each item in the collection, put it right there. And then we assign it again. So first we are putting it in a single variable, all the fields, and then we are adding all the single variables inside a collection. And then from here, it's the end of the loop. And now, finally, we need another create records to create that case collection. Assignment is not creating. Assignment is just assigned to a variable. Now we'll actually create them. So how many records are being created? Multiple. So for multiple, see how it changed to record collection variable by itself automatically. So all we need is now add that var new case comment call, and that's it. Hit done, and let's connect these dots here. So after the last item, it just comes here. And Winter 20 actually made it very easier to. I really like this feature. You can actually subtract, zoom in, zoom out. Pretty cool. Okay, so now let's save it. No. Okay, and also from Winter 90 you can activate it right here. You don't need to go back. So before we actually activate it, let's debug this and make sure everything is correct. So the debugging step is you actually can copy case ID. Let me make sure that case ID has a case comment. So this has two case comments. Okay, so let's go back to the debugging mode. And all we need to provide it is the ID of the case and run it. So if there are any errors or any issues, it will tell me. So this is what the error I was talking about, and I wanted to show you this. I did not specify reason specifically, and that's why it failed. So the first time itself, it tries to query the reason where I assigned the case reason, and it fails because I didn't actually get the case records. So we need to go back and actually specify that here, reason. Otherwise your flow will fail. We're done. And this also fails when your users probably don't have access to that field. So you might have it queried, but if your users don't have access to that field, it will also fail. Debug. And let's add another record ID. And looks like we didn't get any error. So basically, I love this feature because you can actually see what happened each step. So on get case record, I got fast lookup this ID. We found the record, great. And then it's trying to create the record. I probably don't have a description. It's right now. Reason is equipment complexity, whatever new. And then it's looking up case records, and it did successfully found records. And then it also tells me which records it found, and it's trying to loop through those two case comments, and I'm pretty sure these case comment IDs are from the case comments of those case. And then we are assigning that comment bodies test parent ID, the same parent ID. And the reason I have and this is also the collection. And the reason I probably don't have, and again, this will not actually create a record because it's in debug mode, but we can test this once it's done, and that's how you can create, debug it. Debugging is very important in Flow. Um, so basically, it won't create any record, but it will send you an email if you errored out. So that's a great feature as well. So if you get an error, you will get an error email on what the error was. And okay, so now it's saying loop through the case comments and look. So basically, it's adding to the collection. And the reason it's no ID is because I don't have the case created. And you can see here we have two. So basically, we're expecting one case with two case comments to be created. And all records are ready to be created when the next screen pause or local action is executed. So that means we are good to go and we can activate the flow. So that's activated, great. And the next step will be, which I'm not going to go over, is actually creating the lightning action. So basically you can go to the object manager of the page, object manager of the object. So in this case we are case. So you go to case object manager and all you need to do is create lightning action, and instead of the drop down you gotta pick up the flow and add that case comment lightning action. And one more quick note is that in case of case, you will not see the actions like right here, because case and work orders are two objects where case feed is enabled. That's why you will see your actions right here in this feed. And there are some workarounds. If you don't want them here, if you specifically want them here, you can create like a button that will show up here. But if you have actions, they'll always show up here. Or you can turn off the chatter case feed, which probably most of the business don't allow. So just be careful. If you don't panic if you don't see the actions here, because you will see them under the feed. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you found this confusing or if I can help you in further explaining this. Thank you so much for watching.